Welcome everyone to what I think in the future will be looked back upon as a very significant event in the history of St Paul's Anglican Grammar School, the chapter or part of a chapter of the new beginnings of the Drouin campus. Now, for those who are unaware, approximately 45 years ago, back in the late 1970s, the first ideas emerged and the early plans were made for a new school, a new independent school here in West Gippsland, so that people didn't have to travel to or board in Melbourne. Families wanted an independent school here. St Paul's Anglican Grammar School was the result of that dream, and today we enrol well over 1,700 students from early learning to Year 12 at our campuses in Warragul and Traralgon. Thanks to those early pioneering families, some of whom are actually represented by students and adults in the room, St Paul's opened its doors for the first time in 1982 with 19 students on day one. They were all Year 7 students. 20 years later, thanks to a second set of foundation pioneering families, our Traralgon campus opened in 2002 with 40 students from kindergarten to Year 3. And now, here we are, just over 20 years further down the track, we're embarking on another exciting journey here in Drouin with, dare I say it in front of me, a new set of pioneering foundation families. The people who will form the rock upon which we will build a thriving new campus at St Paul's. So thank you to all of you who have already committed and signed up. There are many who have signed up and are not here tonight. To those of you who are still deciding, I hope you find tonight sufficiently informative and exciting to get on the train and be one of the pioneering families of St Paul's Drouin. How exciting is it? Now, I'm going to introduce and hand over to the foundation head of school, Mr. Rowan Van Ray, who's for the past 15 years been the head of the junior school at Warragul, and the Year 6 students sitting here will attest to the fact that he's an outstanding leader, and they better. And he's taken, as I was explaining to one of our families here just now, he's taken the Warragul Junior School from a school of just over 100 in the late 90s, early 2000s, to what we have now, about 500 if you count from ELC to Year 6. I think that's right, Mr. Van Ray, isn't it? 450 from prep to 6. So that's a huge amount of growth in that space of time. And I might have exaggerated there by saying it was the late 90s, it was the early 2000s. But that's fantastic, and that's the sort of growth that we expect here at Drouin as well. We're going to see a thriving campus, and I think once you walk through the doors at the start of 2025, it will be a place that people will be drawn to. The architectural plans are so exciting, and I can't wait to see it see it as a living, breathing campus with smiling students like these ones, maybe not quite as big until a few years' time down the track, but it's such an exciting journey that we're embarking upon. And on that note, I'd like you to welcome Mr. Van Ray with a round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Herbert, and I do extend my welcome this evening. And like Mr. Herbert, is very exciting to be part of this new campus, something that I'm very much looking forward to. It's already been a couple of years in the making, and it's one that I feel privileged and honoured to be part of. So this evening we're just going to talk through a little bit about schools and what they're about, and then we'll talk through and some questions at the end when we're mingling with some refreshments. So we will introduce some of our key staff that have already been appointed, and we'll hear from Ms. Rochelle Harris this evening. So stand up, I think, yes. Director of our Early Learning Centre, so welcome. And Bonnie and Ash, Lucy and Sam, so they're our 4 admin team, marketing team who you may have already met. So thank you for coming tonight, and you'll get to speak to them as well a bit later. Ooh. So, choosing the right school. So it's an important job as a parent. I'm a parent myself, and it's probably one of the hardest things that I had to do, selecting a school. How do you know what's right for you, what's right for your family? So I think your job that you had to do tonight was to get an idea from you of what you think is important when you're looking for a school. And thank you so much for doing that, because it's important for us to know what you value in schools, and we can take that away and make sure that we're catering for the needs of our community. So when I look across here, the quality educators is a really important one to you, and that's certainly important to me as a head of school. We have high quality staff, and it's really important that I set a very high standard. I don't apologise for that. I feel that we're in a very privileged position to educate young people, and we take our job very seriously, and I'm blessed to have quality staff at Warragul, and I'm sure that there will be equally as quality when Drouin commences. The other one that seemed to be quite popular was communication with families. I think that's at the highest level. I think with any relationship, communication is really important, and we have a host of ways that you can communicate with us, and hopefully that sense of communication has already been happening with you from the school, and it's very important that we have a high level of communication, and we'll talk more about that a bit later. It's the feel of a school. I think when I was selecting a school for my boys, my 3 boys, walking into a school, you get a certain feel. And I think as a parent, you know if you want to leave your child in an environment. And I do encourage you to look around and do your homework and ask those questions. It was interesting driving here this evening. There was something that came through when I got here, a message from someone else had put up, what do you know about St Paul's? And there was a few people answering, it's a lovely school. And they're doing their homework to try and select a school, and asking people is really important. So if you know someone at St Paul's, I really do encourage you to take the time to ask them the questions. What's their experience been like? So do your homework, ask the questions of schools. There's important questions to you. They might be different to the person sitting next to you, but I think it's really important that you have a very clear understanding of the partnership that we see is very important. And you will know. I think for me, walking into a school, not only as an educator but as a parent, I knew when I walked into a school that I would like my children to be attending that school. It's 6 hours a day. Sometimes they're spending more time with their educators than parents sometimes throughout the week. So it's a really important job, and we do take it very, very seriously. So a sense of belonging. I think that's really important. I feel that a sense of belonging not only for the children but for families. So at Warragul, one of the first things I wanted to do is make sure that everyone, when you walk through that door, you feel that sense of belonging. I know there's nothing worse than you walk into somewhere and you say, well, should I be here, should I not be here? It's really important that you have that sense of belonging and that you're able to enter our grounds and be part of our school community. Research suggests when you're heavily involved in your child's education, the outcomes are a lot richer. So we do encourage you to be involved, and that sense of belonging is really important, not only for the students, but our families and extended families as well. So there'll be a host of opportunities at the new Drouin campus to be involved, and as Mr Herbert said, being foundation families, we'll be working really hard to make sure that you feel that sense of community right from the start. So what does it feel like? So walking into an environment, as I said, you'll know that feeling in your tummy when it's a nice feeling and you feel welcomed. And hopefully you'll feel that at the Drouin campus when we get up and running in 2025. The environment's really important. So I think for us, we treat the environment as the third educator. It's really important that we create opportunities for students to build relationships. So at the Drouin campus, you'll see lots of natural play areas. We're very, very fortunate to have a wonderful area to be able to landscape, and the idea is that there's not going to be a whole mirror of constructed playgrounds. There will be some because they do serve a purpose, but my view is that building relationships is really important, and that can happen in natural play. So at the Warragul campus, we've spent a lot of time developing natural play. Sometimes it's just a pile of tan bark. That's all it takes, and the students, they love it. So we don't have to have all these big monstrosity playgrounds. My view is that it needs to be natural play where they can create and they can build relationships with each other. They can problem solve. At the Warrigal campus, we've got rocks and they bring their toy cars. We've got a water park with a water wheel where they've got to pump the water and work together, and they have leaf races down and let the water out, and it builds that sense of connection. And again, we do have the playgrounds. We've just put in a brand new prep year 1-2 playground, which we will be getting one similar at Drouin. And that's been a great hit for our younger students. So the environment is really important, and with the architects, I've been thrilled to be able to work with them to build the environment into the buildings, if that makes sense. And you'll see in some of the designs that they've been really creative in making sure that we enhance the landscape that we've got. As I said, we're very fortunate, and we'll be bringing the outdoors inside to the classrooms and vice versa. So I think if one thing COVID taught us was that we can take classrooms outside, and the learning environment outside can be just as rich. So we are really excited to be able to start from scratch and create buildings and learning spaces that can be used for multiple things. So early learning, when we talk early learning, we do like to talk from ELC to year 2. So I think it's really important that we understand that journey in those early years is critical, and working together to make sure that the students get those foundation learnings, and then it carries over a transition from year 2 to year 3, moving up, and then obviously 6 to 7. So when we talk early years education, and Rochelle will talk more about the ELC in a moment, but it's really important that we understand that we value early learning from little lorikeets, which you'll hear about if you haven't heard about little lorikeets, right up to year 2. And that transition between pre-prep and prep is really important to us, and we have a really rich transition program which we'll be able to tell you about as well. So why St Paul's? Good question. So I love this quote. It's on our website. I can't take any credit for writing it, but I think St Paul's is a friendly and welcoming school, a place where students and staff care for one another. I've worked at a number of independent schools, and I might be biased, but I must say St Paul's is one of the most caring places I've worked at. It's not just the students, it's the staff, it's the community. We really do rally around each other, and we do really have that sense of community feel. So when times are tough, we wrap our arms around each other and we support each other no matter what. And I think that's a really nice thing about St Paul's. No matter, your backgrounds, where you come from, where you've been, St Paul's is really great at bringing us together, and it's almost like an extended family, if I can say that. So we care for each other in many, many ways. The students care for each other. They were very, very excited to be here tonight. The Year 6s, we always provide opportunities for them to develop their leadership muscles as they move through the junior school. And tonight, I put a call out. We have 75 Year 6s, and they all have a position of leadership in the junior school. And it was an open invitation for them to come tonight and to give up their time to, I guess, be proud of their school. And to hopefully mingle and get to chat, and you can ask them some questions. They're not selected students, they're just ones who put their hand up. So thank you, students, for giving up your Tuesday evening. What are you missing on telly? What's for The Voice or something, is it? No? What's on you missing? Soccer? Sorry, Brownie. We'll make that up for you tomorrow. So you've done your homework, though? Oh, good. That's the main thing. Yeah, you've done your homework. All right, good. The other thing that we live, and I guess values and missions are interesting because they're words, and they can read really well, but it's living values that's really important. So our school values, I'm hoping every student can name them, which they should be able to because we talk a lot about them. So when we're talking at school, and things happen in schools, choices are made, some are good, some are not so good. We link in our learnings to our school values. So we're always referring back to our school values. They're not just words, they're real living beliefs that we have as a junior school. So the students at assembly, we talk about them, as I said, in classrooms. So we do really live, I feel, we live our school values. So tonight, when you get a chance to speak to our Year 6s, please ask them about them and get them to tell you, which is great. So our vision there, you could read. Our philosophy, I think the important thing for us is that we cater for students, and I think what we try and highlight is that they all have strengths and all have areas to improve on, and it's never okay to judge or to criticise anyone, and we all work together to support each other. So we celebrate the good things and we support each other to make sure that we're helping each other. And I would say the standout thing about St Paul's is there's a real learning culture. It's okay to be a learner, it's okay to do your work. And I think staff who join St Paul's do say that it's great to be able to teach, and the students are engaged and working together. They find like-minded students to work together, and they're encouraged to support and help. So I think that's really important, no matter their starting point. We often talk about, student A might be running first in the cross country, but they might be here for spelling and reading. They might be here. They're all in different places, and we support each other. Everyone has the right to be safe, happy, and respected, and we talk about that. We're not all best friends. We don't expect them all to be best friends, but we do respect each other. And they hear me talk about be safe, happy, and respected. Every student has the right to be safe, happy, and respected, regardless. We all like different things. We all can't barrack for Hawthorn, although we'd like to, but wouldn't that be boring? So the poor old Essendon supporters, Sam's been a bit down this week. She barracks for Essendon, but that's okay because we can support Sam and make sure that she's okay. And the Essendon supporters, we can wrap our arms around them after the weekend. So, and the Carlton supporters have just come out of the woodwork. So, where was I at? Yeah, digress. Personalised learning, I think, again, students don't fall through the cracks. We work really hard. We've got a great team, and I've got a great staff member who's in the room who loves data and certainly makes sure that students don't fall through the cracks. And I really mean that. We analyse and we really make sure that every student is catered for. And that's across the board. It's not just the academics, it's the co-curricular. We try and find that little bit of gold in every student that makes them feel really, really proud of themselves. We had assembly today, and a student played the bagpipes, and it was just a champion. And for him, that moment of playing the bagpipes really could see him lift, and the other students supporting, and probably created a fair amount of interest just through someone having the courage to be able to play the bagpipes in front of his peers and staff, but we celebrate that. And we had another group, doing a little skit for drama. So we always encourage the students to be happy and excited and proud of their passions, and really, treat them as individuals and making sure that they have that opportunity to shine. And that starts right in our ELC, right the way through. And we don't apologise for that. We really want to make sure that they feel that sense of belonging, and that certainly enhances when their passions are recognised by each other, but by the staff. So that's a good thing. So that's pretty exciting. I don't know if you can sense my excitement, but it has been a joy, as I said at the start, to be involved in putting that together with the architects, and really the thought that's gone into it is at the highest level. And I think once we see the build and what's taking place, it is a very exciting time for St Paul's. So I'm going to hand over to Rochelle, who's going to talk a little bit about early learning in the ELC.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to talk about the ELC part of the Drouin campus. So we'll be offering 3 programs, one of them being Little Lorikeets, which Rowan's already mentioned. That is our playgroup. So that will be our younger children who are under 3 before they start pre-kinder, and the difference is that the parent stays. It's for a shorter period of time. It's where the children are learning to play with others. They've got opportunities to play with new toys, activities, and they're developing their social skills. But also for the parents, they're meeting new people. They've also got opportunities to socialise, and they can share tips, they can share experiences, concerns with other parents, and learn a little bit about the ELC before they start, and start to connect with some local services. Then we've got our pre-kinder, which will be offering 3 days a week, and that is your 3-year-old to 4-year-old children. For some children, that's the start of them transferring their trust over to an educator. So some children may have been in childcare, but other children probably haven't had that experience. So it's a really special year for those children to start to learn to trust another adult and to build those relationships. They will be immersed in the routines of the day, which are outside play. We've got snack, we've got lunchtime, we've got music time, story time, relaxation time, and also hand washing and toileting time, which it takes up a lot of our day to start with while they're getting used to being able to independently go to the toilet. The children are starting to see themselves as part of a group as well. They develop social peer connections, and it is tailored to enhance new skills that the children develop new skills, but also enhance the skills that the children already have when they arrive. Then we've got our pre-prep program, which is going to be offered 3 to 4 days. Some families might prefer 3 days to start with, but we do offer 4 days a week. So this is the year the children, before they go into prep, the children are becoming increasingly independent and confident. We empower them to give everything a go. So they might say, I can't do that, but we'll say, yet, you can't do that yet, just give it a go, have a try. The importance is placed on development of strong social and emotional skills within a teamwork attitude. So the whole ELC, all of the staff get to know all of the children. We have staff working across different rooms and doing breaks. While some staff go off and have a tea break, you'll have another staff member that the children will get to know. So it's an environment which is lovely and welcoming. We've also got children attuning to their cognitive skills through deep thought and investigation about ideas that interest them. We've got specialist classes, so in the pre-kinder years, the children will have a little taste of specialists. They might go to the library, they might have a music teacher come into the room to visit them, but when they get into the pre-prep years, they'll go to performing arts, they'll go to PE, they'll go to art, they'll go to the library and RE. So the RE teacher will come into the room. They'll also get to meet a lot of these specialist teachers are the teachers they'll have when they get into prep. So that relationship has already started to form before they get into their prep years. The years in the ELC have been well documented to improve the health and wellbeing for children, encourage a love of learning, promote language development, their communication skills, pre-reading skills, early number concepts, non-verbal reasoning, which is really important for them to start to learn what people aren't saying, their body language, which is something that the children have actually missed out on during the COVID years. They weren't exposed to as much social development. So we're really finding that learning those skills of what does a person's face look like, what are their emotions, how are they feeling, are so important. They're also their independence and their concentration. At St Paul's, our programs aim to develop the whole child. And how do we do this? We have an age-appropriate play-based curriculum where the children are supported to explore, be creative, be curious, be risk takers, and develop their critical thinking skills. We work on the strengths of the children. We value the Reggio Emilia approach to the early years education. And soon I will quote Loris Malaguzzi, who is the founder of the Reggio Emilia approach. Like Rowan said before, we believe that the environment is the third teacher, and we value outdoor play, nature play as an integral part of the day. Unhurried time to play in our environments, and we as the educators put lots of planning into providing learning spaces for the children that they want to spend time in. So I think a slide's coming up with a typical day. But I can honestly say there's no such thing as a typical day in the ELC. It changes all the time. But what we like to embed is the routines. So as long as the children can predict the next routine in their day, they'll feel safe and secure. So that's just a little example of what might happen. And depending on the age group of the children, it will be different. At the moment, the younger children go outside first, whereas the older children are more able to probably start the day inside. So the St Paul's difference is that we're working with a diverse and dynamic educational team. The children will get to know all the educators from little lorikeets. Usually that facilitator does work with the other children as they go through the years of the ELC towards their pre-prep educators, as we value relationships with all the children in our centre. It's a seamless transition from little lorikeets to pre-kinder to pre-prep and then on to prep. From ELC into prep is really important stage for the children, and they've spent probably 2 to 3 years in the environment, so they're feeling safe, secure, ready for the next big adventure to leap into the junior school. The pre-prep children build a rapport with their specialist teacher, which enhances their transition into prep. Incursions take place with the junior school and the ELC. Recently we had a Sean Chilbara on Friday who was there for the pre-prep children up to grade 2, and our children just loved it. So they raved about it when they got back to the ELC. We already have an established way of smoothly transitioning from ELC into prep, and the children can actually see their siblings on the one campus, which is something that most children don't get the opportunity to do. Once they leave kinder, they go into the big school and they don't get to see their sibling until they get into the school. So this way our children can see their siblings when they're out playing at recess or lunch. Our commitment to nature play is also a unique thing that we commit to in the early years programs. And that might be, currently at the moment, our pre-prep group go off to bush play. We're lucky to have Brooker Park, but what we'll be doing with Drouin is promoting the natural environment that is around us and building up that program. So to quote Loris Malaguzzi, sorry, I'm going to lose my voice now, that children have a right to a good school, a good building, good teachers, right time, good activities. This is the right of all children. Our goal is to build an amiable school where children, teachers and family feel at home. Such a school requires careful thinking and planning concerning procedures, motivations and interests. It must embody ways of getting along together, of intensifying relationships. And that's the 100 languages of children that we believe in. So thank you.
A typical day in the junior school. So the students do... we teach English and numeracy as an explicit approach. So, and we've taught that way for a very long time. And I know there's a lot of research at the moment about direct instruction with education, and we certainly have been doing that for many years. And that works really well for us. And the creative and critical thinking, which is just as important, usually happens through humanities and social sciences, so they're integrated inquiry units of work. And throughout the year, the students will encounter STEM-type approaches to learning. We don't have STEM as a separate, we integrate it into our inquiry units. And again, we've been doing that for many, many years, and I think STEM became a bit of a catch cry, but proudly we had always had STEM elements within our curriculum. The arts, so visual and performing arts, we're blessed with really quality educators in our performing arts and visual arts, and the students get to attend for 1 hour a week, and dance, music and drama, and there's lots of co-curricular activities in our performing arts program. Health and physical education, so again 2 1-hour sessions a week, so that ranges from a sports session. The preps currently, I would imagine that will be prep 1 and 2 sport when we started at Drouin, but they also have 1 hour of physical education. So, and we have incorporated a PMP program as well for that perceptual motor program for the younger students. Our LOTE is Japanese. And that will continue into the Drouin campus, library, ICT, Christian Studies, chapel and assembly. Very much about student-led assemblies and chapels. So again, our Year 6 leaders run our assemblies, and they do a terrific job at that. And from controlling the PowerPoint, setting up all the equipment, depending on what leadership position they've got, they all get an opportunity to run and lead assemblies, which is really, really great. We do have a comprehensive transition, and as Rochelle said, from ELC to prep, it is seamless. It is very comprehensive when it starts in term 4. Our prep educators go up to the ELC and start building relationships with our pre-preps. The pre-preps come down to the prep rooms and get immersed in the prep rooms when they're off. The preps are off at specialists, and then we have play afternoons where the new preps again can familiarise themselves with the prep environment, and then we have 4 transition days. And again, we'll be mirroring that when we start at the Drouin campus, because it's not rushed, and again, it gives the students a chance to build those relationships with the teachers, and by the 4th transition, they're in their class with their prep teacher for the following year, and that all happens in November the year before. So everyone goes off on Christmas break knowing exactly who their prep teacher is going to be, who's going to be in their class, and there's also an opportunity for families to catch up with the prep teachers before the end of the year as well. So our pastoral care program is also very strong, and the voice of the child is really important to me, and that's listening to them and listening to their words and really acknowledging their feelings. Sometimes as adults we can get caught up in the emotions of things, but if we bring our emotions down to the student's level and have a real understanding of what they're feeling and acknowledge it, it can really assist them. So we have a number of programs throughout the junior school, again, which will be at the Drouin campus, bounce back, resilience programs, protective behaviours. So we do cover off so the students feel comfortable. They feel comfortable with trusted adults. So when they move into year 3, they do a program, if you like, called trust mapping, and that allows them to identify a trusted adult within the school. We also have partnership with Living Ripples, and that again is a check-in, a welfare check-in with students every week, and they're doing quizzes about how they're feeling, how much sleep they're getting. It just allows us to really tap into students at a different level and be proactive. I think anything with pastoral care, the more proactive we can be, the better. Rather than being reactive when something happens. So the data that we collect really allows us to be proactive with our pastoral care. I know a question comes up about bullying. I think bullying's in some capacities probably in every environment, and it's really important. I think it's how it's dealt with, and the students know that we have upstanders and that they're there to support each other, and if someone's not being polite or pleasant, they're helping each other to support each other through that, or they're getting a big person, an adult in the school to help them. It's not just go away and find somewhere else to play. We work through it and make sure that everyone's feeling like they've got a voice and they're able to work through it together for a really amicable solution. Strong communications with families, I mentioned that, and it's great that that comes up on the board as well. We have student diaries, and the students do the artwork, the voice of the child. A lot of people would pay lots of money to someone to design their front cover. We get kids to do it for nothing. So it's great. And so we have a competition every year, and we use their artwork throughout, so that's really important. We have a code of conduct. This is our one-stop shop for the students. We talk about it, our values. So this goes home and comes back. It's a way that you can write notes to your teachers. The students can write notes to their teachers when they get a bit older. So it's one way of communicating. We have very much an open door policy, and that won't be any different at Drouin. As I said, there's a number of ways to communicate, whether it's a diary, where it's email, phone call, face-to-face. And as I said earlier, communication is really, really important, and I put communication right at the very top. So sometimes you might feel a bit bombarded with information, but again, with clear communication, it usually leads to really good outcomes. And yes, we will be running before and after school care, so that will also be an offering right from the very start. So construction timeline, earthworks in November, which is not far away. So hopefully we're getting the trucks organised and a few excavators in, and we'll start seeing some things happening, and the build to start in February to November next year, with that day 1 in 2025, the campus opens. So how many days is that? Does anyone want... Oh, I was going to get them to guess.
One job.
Anyone want to have a guess at how many days till we open up? Even? Oh, how'd you know? Yes, it is 527 sleeps. So that's very exciting. It seems a long way away, but I guess, as I said earlier, this has been already over 2 years. I think, Mr. Herbert, in the journey so far, and even when we were planning tonight at the start of the year, you're thinking that's a long way away, but it does creep up quickly. So Thank you for your attendance. I really do appreciate it. I know it's not the best evening to be out and about, but I do really appreciate you attending. I thank the students for giving up their time. They will be here for a bit longer, so please ask them at least one question before you go. Not all of them, but just select one and ask them one question, just so they've earned their treat tomorrow. And we'll be here too, so if you've got questions that you'd like to ask we haven't covered that we can answer for you, but other than that, I think that does conclude this evening. So thank you, everyone.